I'm David Stern from IFS Healers, and I'm going to have a brief conversation with, I'd say, a new colleague, maybe a friend, Robert Falconer, who's going to be presenting like a short skills nibble, is what we call it, just as a way of introducing you to his work and to prepare you for the larger offering that will be coming shortly thereafter. But what I wanted to ask Robert to speak to is just what you might want to say, Robert, about the skills nibble, what its function is, what you hope people will take away from it, as well as to the course itself.
The area I've specialized in or focused on has been everything we find inside our psyche that's not part of our own personal history. Most of us are fairly well aware of legacy burdens and how to work with that. But you keep going in deeper and deeper into the psyche, there's more stuff there, and it gets weirder and weirder. At the antipodes of our mind, there's some very strange creatures living. And IFS tends to call these unattached burdens and guides. They're not part of our personal lifetime history. They're not from our ancestors. And they can have huge effects on people's lives for good or for ill.
Mm.
And I've been studying this now for some 15 years after a really dramatic case forced me to pay attention. I didn't want to believe in this stuff. It was too weird. But because I'm one of the few people who was interested in it, I got a lot of referrals. And I've written a book on this and I teach classes on this. And to me now, it's a very fascinating and exciting field, which has all sorts of implications, not only for clinical work, but for the nature of mind and a lot of other questions.
Can I, for folks who are concerned about woo, I'm going to guess or say that it sounds like when you said you were forced to face this, that you're actually a phenomenologist, which means that you look at the data and if it doesn't fit within the paradigms of what we're familiar with, then you have to stretch. And I don't know if you want to speak to that even a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I really did not want to pay attention to this. I thought it was too weird.
Yeah.
And I'll just talk to that a little bit. I was being a PA in a level one training, and in the little group, the little supervision group, this woman had something in her that didn't look like a part. And I'd only heard about these things. Back then, we called them critters. That was
Right.
the
I
original name.
remember.
Now it's unattached burdens.
Right.
But so I, as the PA in there, I asked the guy, "Can I take over this session?" And he said, "Please," because it was freaking him out. What
Mm.
this woman was experiencing was a unbelievably hostile, critical voice in her head that appeared to her as a bloodshot eyeball with legs. And it would just say the nastiest thing. And all parts have a good intention. No matter how much we asked, this thing had no good intention, just destroy her. That's
So
all.
in other words, you use the rigors, due diligence of really walking through all the steps, double checking, triple checking, what is your inherent function, goodness, etc.
Nada. And then
Yeah, yeah.
asked directly, are you a part of her? It did not want to answer that question. And it
Mm.
even said to me at what, because I said, ask again, ask again. It even said at one point, you're supposed to be a teacher. That's a really stupid question. Don't you have anything smarter to ask? And I said, oh, it might be stupid, but it's simple. Are you a part of her? And then it finally roared out through her mouth. No, I'm not a part of her. I'm a much more glorious being, and I'm going to crush you like a worm the same way I'm going to crush her. Hello.
It's like a Disney movie or something.
Yeah, and
Right,
I
right.
just knew the most basic stuff because Dick only used to talk about these in level threes, but was able to get this thing out of her. And I thought that night as I went to sleep, I'm just going to ignore this. We'll
Mm.
pretend this didn't happen. But then this lady kept sending me these emails. And some of them I got really frightened. She was saying, I can see the light in everyone now. I can see colors I haven't seen before. And I thought, oh my
Oh,
God, I triggered a
she's
major
a
manic.
psychotic episode or a manic
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. And
Right.
then she sent me an email that changed my life. She said, I didn't tell you this, but when I was a young woman, I tried to kill myself many times and was institutionalized many times. Back then, when I tried to tell anyone about the non-human inside of me, they gave me electroshock and horrible drugs. You're the first human being to ever believe me, and you have changed my life.
What are you going to do?
I went,
Yeah.
oh, and then a four-letter word. I
Yeah.
can't ignore this. I
Just
can't
do
ignore this
This
now.
is too
No,
important.
too
Right.
important. And I followed that woman for 15 years, and she did blossom.
Yeah.
She still considers that a life-changing thing.
Yeah. You removed a pile of crap from her system and
Yeah.
her system could flourish. Right.
And then because it shattered my worldview. I'd studied trauma and
Right.
childhood sexual abuse. That was what
Right.
I knew. And now
Right.
what is this?
Right.
Completely doesn't fit my worldview. So the way I found to get myself feeling somewhat oriented was William James and the idea of radical pragmatism. You do what works.
Right.
What works is real.
And just
You
follow
know,
the data.
follow the data.
Right.
Keep and it was unpopular with Dick and the other IFS teachers because they didn't like this stuff being talked about. It was too weird.
Mess with the mission of getting the
Yeah,
scientific community to accept it, et cetera. Yeah.
but I've had many hundred
Mm,
referrals of cases like this now because
mm.
nobody else wanted to touch it, which actually was helpful for me in terms of learning about it.
Tell us a little bit about what you're hoping to accomplish with the hour-long skills nibble and what you're going to set them up for relative to the 4-hour workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hour-long skills nibble is just to give people a cognitive overview.
Mm,
There is stuff in our minds that is not part of our personal lifetime history.
mm, mm,
There's hard scientific evidence of that in terms of legacy burdens. And I
mhm,
think once people get that far, it's not so far to expand them to this. And also, there's this idea, porosity of mind, that our minds
mhm.
are actually porous, some
Right.
self-contained
Right.
fortress. That's a very important idea. And I think IFS recognizes multiplicity of mind,
Right.
but has not yet explored the full potential of porosity of mind.
Porosity. Yeah.
So that would be my thing for the 1 hour thing, to just try and get a little bit of a cognitive frame out here. Hey, there's this whole other realm.
Right. So, in a sense, feeding the protectors that might be resistant to this enough information that they can relax to step into the full workshop with a little more freedom, let's say, a little more space or something like that.
Yeah, or yeah, and just yeah, I think it's really important to have this material out in a very concise form. And the 4 hour class will be highly experiential.
Great.
Will be guided meditation, a demo, and some other stuff like that, so that people can start to have a lived experience of something in the depths of their minds that's not their own personal history. I think at first this was a terrifying idea, and now I find it really liberating and exciting. I think we know our inner worlds, our subjective realm, less than we know our outer worlds. And the
Mm,
more we look in there,
mm.
there's just more and more to learn. We answer every question I've answered in my long career has opened up 10 new questions that are even more challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I that used to really upset me, and now I love it.
I won't get bored. Right. Yeah. Our inner world is, yeah, just almost infinitely rich. And yeah, so a phenomenal domain that is there to be explored and engaged with. Yeah.
And what I
Mm,
found to be the best
mm,
compass, and I'm open to learning new ones, is this idea of radical pragmatism from William James, who I
mm,
think is underappreciated in the
mm,
modern psychotherapy.
mhm. Yeah, and again, I'll reiterate when you say modern radical pragmatism, if you stay close to the data, if you double, triple check, what what arises will have legs and will be repeatable and demonstrable, and so can take things that people think are woo and show its roots in a knowable, repeatable reality.
Yeah. And for
Yeah.
me, even more than that, it's the
Mm,
issue of lessening human suffering. Does what I
mm.
do with this person today sitting in front of me lessen their suffering? Now, that's something I can hope to learn. From my
Right,
point of view, I can get
right.
a pretty good idea about that. Whether what these things are out there and all
Hmm.
that, are these things real and so, no idea. But I can see, I can get a pretty good read on does this help people?
So, however, this phenomena makes itself known, when we relate to it rightly, is it the occasion for freedom, some kind of liberation, greater sense of wholeness and ease? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah,
Does that person suffer less?
yeah, yeah. Anything specific you want to say about what people will leave with, what needs might be answered? Yeah.
Hopefully, the number one thing is a much more open mind. What is
Mm,
that line from Shakespeare? There are
mm,
things in the universe you haven't dreamt of yet,
right.
dreamt of in your philosophy. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
One of the ideas I get is the more I've studied, more than 50 years studying psychotherapy now, I'm a beginner. I'm in preschool. And I kept wanting to be the postdoc, and now
Right.
I'm really enjoying being in preschool. And I can hope I can get other people, especially elderly
Mm,
alleged experts like me, to
mm,
enjoy being in preschool and to
yeah.
enjoy exploration and delight
Right.
and
Right.
curiosity.
Wonder. Wonder. Yeah.
Wonder. Yeah, that's a great word, David.
Yeah. So what
Wonder.
is it like? The more you know, the more you know you don't know. Yeah.
And Socrates, the Oracle of
Hmm.
Delphi, told him he was the wisest man in ancient Greece because he knew he didn't know.
Yeah.
That's not many people know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Beginner's mind, ever beginner's mind. Wider, wider, deeper. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And just to sense the vastness of our subjective realm.
And as we're ever more comfort with that, to greet what arises with that radical pragmatism, with the knowledge that things well met, they either blossom or they go back to where they belong and create more liberation along the way and more healing. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
want to say something that's a little bit of perhaps a sidetrack here. This subject of energies or beings who are not part of our own system coming up comes up so much in psychedelic assisted therapy.
Ah,
And it really distresses many providers of psychedelic assisted therapy
ah,
because they have no training and no expectation of it.
I see.
Roland Griffiths did these studies of DMT containing psychedelics, and
Oh, right.
something on the order of half the people met conscious agentic beings. Now, this is like, what? This does not fit. And
Right.
if that happens to people you're sitting with in
Right.
therapeutic sessions, it's really good if you have a large enough mental framework to contain that and help them with that experience. And
Yeah. And
so,
also understand that in some ways, the same practices you do with stuff that you're familiar with apply to anything. You meet it, you say hello. If it belongs, yay. If it doesn't belong, hasta la vista. Technically, it's simple, but the mind space that allows you to rest in openness in a self-led manner, I think that's what you're hoping to proffer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Another rule that I think is really important, and this is straight from Dick, if you're not afraid of these things, they lose all power. But that's
right,
not so easy. They're really good at being scary. And of course, in IFS, I think most of the people will know this. The way to deal with those scared parts is not to bulldoze them or lock them in a closet. It's to welcome them forward with love until they're so securely connected to self, they're no longer afraid of any external influences that
yeah.
happen to be around.
So I'm going to just say a couple things. So there are things that you're speaking about when you speak about psychedelics that hint, hopefully, at sort of future things that we could do together, things that I think are needed, and hopefully we'll find ways for you to share your wisdom relative to some of the things you just were speaking of. For now, is there anything else you'd like folks to know before I give them the details of just date and time? Yeah,
At first, I was really repelled by this whole subject matter, but now I find it absolutely fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
And another thing I'll say, this idea of porosity of mind is incredibly important to me. It's
Mm.
not my phrase. It comes from Charles Taylor of philosophy, a philosopher who used to be at
Hmm.
McGill. I've come to believe that the false belief we hold that our minds are a citadel and private and our identity and all of
Hmm.
that, that I believe is perhaps the fundamental cause of the epidemic of mental illness we're experiencing now. Let me just say
Mm.
another word about that.
Right,
If you have this belief that your mind is this citadel and it's not porous, it's not
right,
open, you
right.
will feel alienated.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
almost a definition of alienation.
Definitional. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
And once you're alienated, you tend to feel universal anxiety, and then universal anxiety, people go to rage. So it starts this whole cascade.
It propagates. Yeah,
Yeah,
fear creates fear. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
And
Thich Nhat Hanh would say it very differently, but he would also say, he- I forget the language he uses, but the nature of self, there's no separation.
yeah,
There's no
interbeing.
interbeing, exactly. That's the word.
I
Yeah.
think he has the most sophisticated language for this. Daniel Siegel, interpersonal neurobiology,
Mhm.
calls this citadel model of mind the myth of the solo self.
Oh, nice.
And he says
Nice.
it is so deeply embodied in the Western mind, it's in our language. We
That's
can't
right.
even think clearly around this subject. And he also sees it as fundamental in terms of causing the distress of our culture.
Yeah, the separation
Yeah,
and yeah, the inherent just madness at that
yeah,
from yeah,
madness. Madness at the core.
yeah,
Good,
exactly.
good word, David.
Yeah. My friend, I wanted to say just to give the details. So the Skills Nibble, the free event will be Friday, November 21st, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be a good appetizer to what's going to follow on December 5th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. again Eastern Time. Unattached Burdens and Guides. It'll be a deeper experiential exploration, and hopefully it'll be the beginning of other creative projects that we'll enjoy with Bob Falconer. So, Bob, very grateful, honored, just a pleasure. I hope we have many more conversations, and I hope we provide a context for you to share things that you'd like to share because you have much wisdom to impart and to catalyze in the world.
Okay, thank you, David. And
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of what you're doing.
All right, my friend. Take good care.
Okay,
Thanks for making
blessings.
time. Yeah, blessings.
Bye bye.
Bye.